Do we know how much potential we have within us, each of us? So when a person joins a job and goes to work on the first day, wherever he may be, it's obvious that the person is always enthusiastic. He wants to do a great job. He is wanting to do well and perform well. It's a fact, and research has proven this, that within 2 weeks, a fortnight, over 50% of these enthusiastic people lose their motivation and enthusiasm. Where has it gone? Why has it gone? And can it be retained at the level at which it was on day one? Obviously, if the enthusiasm is retained, the person performs better in whichever task he is chosen for, and the organization benefits, and that's what the leader is meant to do. This is now going to show you the potential that's there in each and every one of us, which we don't even realize to the level at which it is, which flourishes and comes out at times of stress, danger, or even positive leadership. 2 examples of physical potential and then one of mental will cement this point. There was a Dr. Watson, not the sidekick of Sherlock Holmes, but another Dr. Watson, who in the 60s was a ranger in Kenya National Park. He just joined there. He had come in from Europe, not very used to the surroundings, but he was enthusiastic about his job. It was evening, darkness was falling, and 2 kilometers from his base camp, his jeep stopped. Now, it was an enclosed jeep. He had 2 options. One is he could remain in that jeep all night uncomfortably, and then when the sun rose again, he could maybe repair it or walk it down to his base camp 2 kilometers away. Or he could immediately start walking, and he knew that there were no wild animals that he had seen around on his trip so far, so he could just walk it down the next 20 minutes. He took that alternative and started walking. Within 5 minutes, he heard a sound, a terrifying sound. And that sound was a pack of hyenas. Now, it was later on in the 70s and 80s found that hyenas actually attack and even kill their prey. Till the 60s, when Dr. Watson had his episode, it was assumed that hyenas could just pick up on the leavings of things which the other bigger animals had killed. But still, it was a chilling sound, very little sunlight left, and 1.5 kilometers yet to go. Dr. Watson started walking fast. The leader of the hyena pack was very close to him and gave a little charge and stopped, as if making a final run before the kill. Dr. Watson knew that he could never reach his base camp in time. This pack would tear him apart. He could not outrun them. Hyenas can easily outrun a human being. The only thing that he could do, in that little twilight that was left, he saw a tree in front of him. He could vaguely make out a branch. He leaped for the branch and then climbed onto that branch. He could now hear the hyenas below him. They couldn't climb the tree. He was safe. He spent a hugely uncomfortable night on the branch of the tree. At dawn, he realized where he was. He was 18 feet above the ground. And this is a record which has not even been broken in the Olympics today. The evidence that Dr. Watson has of this record is the teeth bites of the hyena in his trouser bottom, which they took just before he leaped. This is the potential that's there, which even a high jump in the Olympics has not been able to break. Another similar example. This is of a lady whose daughter was strapped below the rear wheels of a car and the car stopped. The daughter was being crushed to death slowly, and no one around was able to help. This lady, under great stress, took the rear bumper of the car, lifted up the car, and her daughter slid out. The weight she lifted would have made an Olympic heavyweight weightlifter proud. She could obviously never repeat the exercise in future, These two examples show the terrific potential that lies latent within each of us. And if leaders encourage, motivate, inspire, work their magic and energize, imagine 5,000 people being lifted from an average performance level up to the highest performance level. This is what a leader brings to the table. Remember one thing, although people look up to you as a leader, you should never look down upon them, but you should rather join hands with them, and that's when the vibration and the energy will flow, and that's when the true magic of leadership emerges. We just saw two unbelievable examples of physical potential being exhibited by two individuals under great stress. Similarly, now let's see a fantastic structured example of mental leadership bringing out potential to unbelievable levels. This is the story of the Polgar family from Hungary. Laszlo Polgar was a chess teacher in the 1960s and the 1970s, and he had 3 daughters. He had this theory, a very firm belief that excellence in any sphere had nothing to do with genetics, but everything to do with motivation, training, and leadership. He decided that he would make his 3 daughters experts in the field of chess. He stressed that this technique need not be related to making chess champions alone. You could make them mathematical geniuses, you could make them flourish in any sphere of human endurance. The reason he chose chess is because he could guide them in that direction. He had 3 daughters, and the youngest of whom was called as Judith. All the 3 daughters became phenomenally great in chess. In fact, Judith is still today regarded as the best female chess player of all time, and she has even beaten Garry Kasparov, one of the world's men greats. Zazu, the eldest daughter, has also been a female world champion, and the second daughter also has achieved laurels in the game. Now, the question is, what made them great? What was Laszlo's role in this leadership, and how can you, me, and every other individual demonstrate this transfer of energy, motivation, inspiration, and training to flourish others and bring out the best in them? He followed a structured approach. He ensured that right from the time that they were young, he included a lot of chess learning in their overall education. Chess tuitions, reading books on chess, playing in local tournaments, gradually playing with better and better players, not such great ones that they would be overwhelmed and shadowed, but ones who would challenge their abilities. He encouraged them to write articles on chess in the local papers. He entered them for marathon tournaments, chess tournaments, where they would develop their endurance, their mental ability. He also ensured that they wrote books on chess themselves, constantly gave them creative problems in chess to solve, and see how they could work out. Soon, over a period of time, all the 3 daughters became better chess players than he himself was. And then, through a combination of meta-learning, feedback, and focus, achieved wonders. The learning from this particular example is that as a leader, you have so many people in your organization performing so many roles in order to fulfill the vision that your organization has. If they are working at 20% capacity, 30% capacity, 40% capacity, the productivity is that much lower, and that is the amount of victory that gets reduced, the amount of vision that is not translated into final victory. The better that you can inspire people, the better that you can guide people, the better that you can channelize people, the better that you can energize people. This is when leadership is at its ultimate. And this is what is called as the magic of leadership, something which Michael Brearley, the conductors for the orchestra, and Laszlo Polgar all demonstrated in equal measure. Now, what is it that you can do from these examples? Make sure that you give individual attention to the people who report to you, who are under your guidance, who are your mentees. Make sure that you understand the roles that they are going to play as individuals. A very beautiful example comes from the movie Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur is a movie from biblical times, and it tells the story of Judah Ben-Hur, who was from a royal family in Jerusalem, fell out of favor, and then had to move to Rome. In Rome, he met an Arab sheikh who had horses. He bred horses. And one of his desires, the Arab sheikh's desires, was that his horses would win in the chariot race in the stadium in Rome. It's like winning the 100 meters in the Olympics today. That much of prestige. He invited Judah to his place. He liked Judah. He showed Judah his horses, his 4 horses. They were snow white horses. Each of them was a sibling to the other. Now, the sheikh told him, I have these 4 horses. They are fantastic horses, but they can't run together. They just don't win a race. Judah said, I do know something about horses. I have raced horses in the stadium myself. Let me see if I can work something out. The sheikh was delighted. Here was the answer to his prayer. And he immediately, as soon as the meal was over, took Judah to meet the horses. All 4 of them had been named after stars. And Judah, with his love for horses, patted them, hugged them, and said, let me take a test ride. The first test ride, and on the first turning, the horses moved out of the line. A second test ride, and again at the turning, the same problem. They couldn't take the turn. And then Judah said to the sheikh, I know what the problem is. And the sheikh said, I've tried for years to know what the problem is. You solved it in this much time. Judah said, yes. The horse which you have kept on the innermost side, who takes the shortest degree of turn, is the fastest of these 4 horses. And to make matters worse, the horse which you kept on the outside, in the outer ring, where the fastest horse needs to be, because he has to cover a larger distance, is the slowest of the 4. There are minor shades of differences between these 4, but ultimately at the end of the day, it results in failure. Try it out by putting the outermost in and the innermost out. They did that. The horses raced like a beautiful dream team. He raced them in the stadium. That race is a delight to behold. It's a 1960s movie. It's a 10 to 11 minute race. It's chilling. A little fun fact about this race, it's the year 25 or 30 AD, and it's a movie which has won fantastic Oscar awards. It's a movie by one of the best directors of all time, William Wyler. In the background, far away from the stadium, if you notice very carefully, there's a little blue automobile which has been parked, which unfortunately escaped the eye of everyone. But that's just nitpicking. The learning from this is identify the individual skills that your people have. Give them that extra edge through your training, your love, your motivation. Energize them, and that's your role as a leader done.